and they're talking about dinner, and she's like, oh, I only eat salmon. And my mom's like, I love salmon. That's a soothing color.
So good. Welcome to Rom Com Vom, a sex ed with DB podcast series where in every episode we go under the covers with a beloved rom-com, strip away its hidden toxic messages, and rewrite the script on love and sex. Hey podcasters, want to learn how to make real money from your show without joining a big network or selling out? I'm DB, host of your favorite podcast, Sex Ed with DB, and I built my podcast into a six-figure business by mastering one thing: sponsorships. Now I'm teaching you exactly how I did it in a virtual 2-part workshop, Making Indie Podcasts That Pay, happening May 27th and May 29th from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time through Radio Bootcamp. We'll cover how to price your ads, pitch to brands that actually say yes, and build long-term sponsor relationships that pay you, not just your hosting fees. Whether you're in sex ed, storytelling, true crime, or anything else, this is the stuff I wish someone taught me when I started. The class is only $100, and spots are limited. And it's all online, so grab your seat now at radiobootcamp.org/classes or go to the link in the show notes of this episode. And let's get that podcast money. I'm about to get personal here, so listen up. I'm going to tell you a fun fact about me that you definitely didn't know. The lube that I use most consistently is Uber Lube. I really mean it. If you were here with me right now, I'd tell you to go over to my nightstand drawer and tell me what you see. That's right, you would see a bottle of Uber Lube. If you've never heard of Uber Lube, let me tell you about it. Uber Lube is a silky smooth silicone-based lube recommended by leading doctors, and its body-friendly ingredient list makes it widely used by people with sensitivities to lubricants. Another amazing thing about Uber Lube is that it doesn't leave a sticky residue like water-based lubes do. It lasts for a long time and doesn't stain clothing or bedding. I have 3 bottles of Uber Lube on my bedside table right now, ready when I need it. If you're someone who wants to feel more pleasure in the bedroom, use code SEXEDWITHDB for 10% off at uberlube.com. When you think about the words pleasure and power, what comes to mind? If you're a fan, you know my answer will always be the magic wand. But what if I told you the magic wand could fit in the palm of your hand? Say hello to the Magic Wand Micro. The Magic Wand Micro may make you wonder how it can possibly represent a brand renowned for power. But once you turn it on, this impossibly powerful, multi-function, multi-speed massager proves it's a magic wand through and through. Same magic, now in pocket size. Use code SEXEDWITHDB at Lion's Den for 15% off your Magic Wand Micro now. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Rom Com Vom. I, of course, am your host, DB, sex educator, pleasure expert, and rom-com critic. And today we are diving into fat suits, major shallow how flashbacks, friend zoning, and emotional regression in a very cringy rom-com with 2 fantastic guests. We have Lauren Passell, founder of Tink Media and podcast The Newsletter, and Holly Brown, stand-up comedian and podcast marketer at Tink Media, and they're here to help us unpack the Ryan Reynolds rom-com that asks, what if a former fat kid returned to his hometown as a bitter, jacked man-child? Hello, Holly and Lauren. Welcome to the show. How are you?
So excited to be here.
Thrilled.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be here, specifically with Lauren. I mean, this is a doozy. I'm so excited.
Oh my God. I'm thrilled that you both are here. I love that you both are colleagues and friends, and the rapport is just going to be off the charts. And Lauren, you and I are kind of like newer pals, newer friends. I feel like we hit it off right away. It's so fun to make new friends as an adult, no? It's kind of hard.
It is. But I feel like my female friendships that I'm making now are even better.
Quite
I
strong.
feel like this thing in my life right now that, so I absolutely love it. We got to hang out in Chicago. It was great.
It was so fun. So nice meeting you in person. You're amazing. Holly, you're a new friend as well. Can't wait to get to know you more too. And I have a trivia teaser for us before we do the episode reveal. So the fat suit that the protagonist in today's rom-com wears was a lot. Stick around to hear what happened at the end of the episode when the star stepped outside in full prosthetics while shooting on location for the first time. And of course, today we're talking about Just Friends. Oh my God, we have so much to say. I could probably sit here for a full day, but we do have an hour to discuss. I want to know, let's start off with Lauren. What is your relationship to this film? You suggested it. Tell me everything.
Well, we don't have time for everything, but as you mentioned, this is a
Right.
doozy. It's
a doozy.
So I hadn't seen it until maybe 10 years ago.
For the first
Wow.
time. Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't have the excuse that, like, it's nostalgic. Okay, but I was talking to my husband about Christmas movies, and he said, we were dating at the time, and he said, "Oh, my favorite Christmas movie is Just Friends." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Never even heard of that. How did I miss that?" Also, I'm like a Christmas movie connoisseur.
Oh, yeah.
And so we watched it, and now, and I died laughing. And now we watch it only once a year. I broke the rule this year to rewatch it for this. We only let ourselves watch it once a year because we cherish it so much.
Oh my God, you
Usually
love
right
it.
before-
You're obsessed with it.
I am. However, for years, I have felt shame for how much I love it.
Oh boy.
Embarrassed to admit that I love it. But I have started noticing you come out of the woodwork a little bit and you're like, I like Just Friends. Really smart, wonderful people are like, so do I. And then you're like, and that's why I'm excited to be here, because I need to figure out why I like it. I don't
Right.
come with all answers.
This
I
is a
come
therapy
with questions.
session, actually. This is why I called you here today, to talk through your shame about
I-
loving Just Friends.
I need to know why both of you like it to validate my own feelings.
Sure.
This is going to be healing for us all. So thank you. That's
Oh
why.
my God.
Thank you.
No, truly happy that you're here. And again, like, I do all of these films on here because I have seen these movies, including Just Friends, dozens of times. I could recite all the words because it was this movie came out 20 years ago. I did in fact see it when I was 12 years old. I'm 32 now. So there's been a lot of iterations of feelings over the years for me about these films, including Just Friends. And anyway, we got to get to Holly. Holly, what did you think of this movie? Like, what's your relationship to it? When did you kind of first watch it?
Very similar. I was 13 when the movie came out, and I was thinking about other stuff that was coming out at the time, and I loved it when it came out. I was 13, hit all the notes of, like, people that were popular, like Ashton Kutcher, Punk'd, Jackass, like, that chaotic energy,
Slapstick.
everything bad that can go wrong kind of energy. I was so Viva La Bam, I had it all on DVD. Like,
Oh, yeah.
why? So I was very invested,
2005.
yeah, in being and also when I look back at it, I'm like, was I being a little pick me? You know,
Ooh.
I don't know, maybe.
We can't all be Amy Smart, the hottie in this movie.
Yeah.
We just can't.
We can't all be Amy Smart in every movie she's in.
In every movie, nor Anna Faris. Can we be like the lovable weirdo, right?
So I loved the movie then, and I would say my relationship has evolved so much over time. Like ending with meeting Lauren and having that be another new lens at, like, my previous nostalgia. So it was a full circle moment to being like, what, love this movie. What the hell?
What is occurring here?
Yeah, what the hell? Should I tell anyone I've even watched it? And then to meeting Lauren, I'm like, you know what? Holly, stop being so damn cynical.
You can't be a Just Friends apologist anymore. You have to be yourself.
No, if I remember thinking, if Holly likes it, then and I can come out and be
You can be
brave and
yourself.
say that I like it too. Yeah. So
like the song in the film that Chris's mother sings, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And then she says, come on, we're making snow angels. Okay, so here is a quick refresh, dear listener. If you haven't seen this film in 20 years, here is a rundown if you need a refresher. Chris Brander, played by hottie Ryan Reynolds, was fat, sensitive, and secretly in love with his best friend Jamie in high school. After a humiliating rejection, he disappears and reinvents himself as a hot, successful asshole of a music executive. And years later, he returns home, angry, petty, and desperate to win her over, and hijinks ensue. So that's pretty much what's going on here. It has the guy, I don't know his name, the actor from American Pie, as kind of like the guy who pretends to be a good guy,
Yeah.
but is actually also an asshole. And we have this segment here called As a Kid. So, Lauren, it seems like, you first saw this movie 10 years ago, but Holly, you also saw it as a kid. Like, what if you were to choose kind of like one scene that really defined this when you first watched it? What would that scene be that really, really shows exactly what this film is to you?
And there are so many scenes, and I would say anytime I think of this movie, the first thing that comes to my brain is Darla. Like every time, Darla. And
Just Anna Faris being psychotic.
she stuck out to me.
TJ.
DJ. Yeah,
I
that's good.
I think her scenes to me, even though it's like about Ryan Reynolds, the fat suit is such a thing. Him singing the song at the end of the movie, but
Yes.
Anna Faris is just like amped up to level 10, and I think her scenes. I would say one that sticks out is when she's sucking on the toothpaste tube.
Oh my god.
That scene was. I remember
Could you
feeling so.
describe this for the listeners? What is happening in this scene?
She has just fallen, miraculously not to her death off a mall railing, um, is being taken care of by a child that is
Right.
also trying to sleep with her, that she's maybe quasi trying to sleep with that.
Right.
She's plied with medication so that she does not go anywhere. All of this, when I say all of this out loud, I'm like, ooh, should I like this movie? And she is wrapped in I would say, like, what's the
Kind of like
word?
an ace bandage.
Yeah, an ace
Around her head,
bandage,
yeah.
akin to like the Three Stooges, just ace bandage. And for enjoyment is eating a tube of toothpaste that is getting all in her mouth and coming out. It's just
The physical
level,
comedy.
level
Physical
10
comedy.
grotesque scene of just what is this movie? What am I watching? There's so many problems happening, and then also I'm laughing. Oh no.
The slapstick of it is very funny. I think like the Anna Faris's character of her just being like sex obsessed and just her just being someone who's just like such a freak and clearly treated that way, right? By Chris. Like Chris makes her very clear to the audience that he hates her and he is talking shit basically to her face. And the toothpaste scene is very funny because I just feel like it shows how out of whack she is and how like she's such a character. She's such a character who we love to make fun of and who also scares us at the same time.
And she's the monkey on his back this whole film.
Right.
It's like constant. And she kind of is aligned with his brother, which is really the icing on the cake. But love, yeah.
Scene epitomizes the film's relationship to women too, where like very different characters, Jamie and Anna Faris's character, but they're both prizes to be won by the men. Like each guy is one guy hates this one, but the other guy's like, that's my prize, and vice versa.
Right.
Even despite every red flag, that is still the prize.
Now you're speaking my language here. Lauren, did you have a different scene that really spoke to you for this film?
Yes, and I'm glad you said did you say over the top? I feel like that defines why I love this, because I really had to think about why I like this movie. I really, really spent a lot of time thinking about it, and my
You did your
reason
homework.
I did, I mean, this was the most fun homework ever. I actually talked to my husband about it, and I hope we get into this. I disagreed about why we like it,
Mm.
and I had an epiphany about it. But my favorite scenes are the ones the one that makes me laugh the hardest every time. And the reason I only let myself watch it once a year is because I'm like, what if I stop laughing? And every year, Justin and I are like, how are we still
We're still into this.
choking from laughter? The scene when the house is getting burnt down by Anna Faris.
Classic.
Anna Faris gets mad because Chris is going to go see Amy Smart. Sorry, I'm mixing up all the names.
No, please.
And she goes to her house, drives her car into the house, and it is just the most violent scene of
insane.
damage.
It's classic Christmas hijinks.
And it lasts really long, which is why I've decided the movie, I love it when jokes go there and commit and all of the entire movie is people committed to the joke. And the joke is, if the joke was just kind of like, oh, she's going to run into the house and the lights are going to fall off, that wouldn't have been funny. But watching it for like what feels like 20 minutes of everything going wrong, it's like they went there. And I think the same, and the scene that kind of reminds me of that is when Ryan Reynolds gets injured and he's on the sled.
Yes.
It's like, and gets pushed off. And it's just all this. The entire ice skating scene when he's,
oh my God, playing
getting
hockey.
his ass kicked by those children, people getting their ass whooped by children, and is always funny. So that was those two. I'm sorry I couldn't just choose one. That was rude of me, but I cannot contain myself. Continue.
Let's even get into that ice skating scene, because I do think that is such a funny scene and it's so comedic. But even, we see kind of like children, calling him a pussy, and like we see kind of like the man-childness and like the sexism, like even in that scene where like he is really bad because he's like, these are rentals, and he's like yelling at the kids and just being such a psychotic freak.
And Amy Smart is so good in this too, because she had some of the lines are actually really subtly, beautifully written. Like there's this tiny line where she just goes, "He's trying his best," and it's like taken so seriously, it's so over the top. It never would happen like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's hilarious. Yeah, there's so many things about this movie that I found so funny as a teen. Like all the slapstick, all the like bickering between the brothers, like Amy Smart like kind of plays the foil to Anna Faris, right? And Anna Faris is just out of control, psychotic. She's just constantly singing the same forgiveness song over and over again. Like you said in the bar when she sees his friends, Mark and Darla, or Clark and Darla, and she just gives Darla a kiss on the mouth. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? It's just so psychotic. And so they're and I do love as a Jew, I love Christmas movies. Loved watching them. I would say The Holiday is my favorite rom-com Christmas movie of all time. But yes, as a kid, like this was a very funny middle and high school movie for me and my friends to watch. And there's a lot of problems in it, okay? We're going to talk about them for the rest of this interview. Lauren, we must, okay? We are, in fact, getting into our main segment called That's Problematic, where we go over what's going on in this film that's problematic and what, 20 years later, this film came out in 2005, what really did not age well and why. And so I think like a major theme that we talk about in a lot of these rom-coms is the theme of manipulation masked as love, right? And let me explain this piece, and then I'm curious to hear what you all think about it. So Chris only really returns home and kind of like keeps pushing Jamie and negs her to really like prove a point that like he is skinny, that he is hot, that he can date models.
It's a revenge fantasy.
It's a revenge fantasy, right? And it's funny that it's Ryan Reynolds doing it, because you're like, cool, like one of the most hot human beings on planet Earth. Like I like printed out photos of like half naked Ryan Reynolds and put them on my wall. Like I loved him. I thought he was.
That's a good idea. I'm doing that now. I'm doing that today.
It's not too late. As an adult, free will, great use of free will. And yeah, Chris like really competes with Dusty, right? He does, like you say, treat Amy Smart's character Jamie like a prize to win for the sake of his ego, because he was obsessed with her in high school and he was put in the friend zone because he was, fat, and because he was just her friend and just she didn't see him as anything else. And she doesn't really get treated like an actual human being until like the very end of the movie, right? And so he never really tells her how he feels in a healthy way. Instead, he kind of relies on like passive aggression and tantrums and like the hockey scene and, him just kind of like taking her on dates and they don't go well, but he keeps kind of pushing her and all these things, right? And so I think the last thing I'll say before I turn it over to, I want to hear what Holly has to say first, is like, this is problematic because it really celebrates, even if it's over the top and even if it's as a joke, right? Like in my 12-year-old brain, this kind of celebrated like emotional immaturity and entitlement as like romantic persistence. And we really reward Chris's toxic behavior by, of course, in the end, he gets the girl. So I'm curious, like, Holly, what did you think about this theme of manipulation masked as love? And also, like, Dusty is kind of included in this, right? The way he treats her, the way he treats Jamie, he's like, making out with other people and then trying to seem like he's a different person. So yeah, tell me your thoughts about this.
Exact feeling about Chris, just and the whole general thought of like, oh, nice guys deserve, and it's still topical to this day. Nice guys deserve sex.
Like the
Like that just
incel situation.
as much as it's about love, the whole thing to me is just like nice guys deserve sex. We deserve to get laid. And
Right.
I just think it's funny that Ryan Reynolds is so good at that character. I'm thinking about like another Christmas movie, Spirited. I feel like he plays the same character as this movie, and I didn't think
Haven't
about
seen
that
it.
till right now. And it's just nice guys that don't get sex turn into pieces of shit. Therefore, we need to offset that by being nice to them in high school before they're better than you. So
Woof.
it's just a love story from in the time of like bro comedy, that a peak bro comedy. We've got The
Mhm.
Hangover came out not long after this, or
Right.
Adam Sandler comedies were still like super popular, and it just feels like it thought it was the smarter, cooler version of those movies, and it was because it was funnier.
Mhm.
And that is also that guy. That guy's looking at other guys around them, being like, "Well, I'm better than you,"
Right.
and that's what this whole movie felt like, written by that guy for that guy.
And we see his regression, right? Because he gets into that hockey accident and then his teeth are fucked up, so he has to wear a retainer. So it's kind of like Clark, his dentist is like his old friend is like, "You're back in the friend zone." And it's kind of like
Mhm.
we're supposed to feel bad for him, right? But meanwhile, he's the one that's kind of been an asshole and having these tantrums to Jamie over and over again and basically like treating her like a piece of dookie.
And it's also showing that you can treat your friends like a piece of shit too, because he hasn't talked to Clark and Darla in 10 years. He didn't know
Right.
they were married.
Right.
And then he gets to come back, and then they're his confidants that he vents to.
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah, no. You don't deserve them either, buddy. Like,
Right.
you don't deserve your mom." There's so many characters in this film that treat him like a so well and kind and caring, and his
His
mom is just
mother.
I
the
know,
most
she's so
sweet.
sweet. She's the mom and she's the man also, which I just love her kind of, like, silly mom, like, like, this is her, like, tone of voice. She's just always, "Oh, do you want some cookies?" Like, she's just always, like, aloof. But yeah,
Yeah.
his mom is very sweet.
I love when they first meet Anna Faris's character, and the mom does, and they're talking about dinner, and she's like, "Oh, I only eat salmon," and then the mom they're talking about food, and the mom's like, "I love salmon.
Yes,
It's
it's
so
such a
such
pretty
a
color.
soothing color."
It's so good. She's just yeah, out of it. Lauren, I gotta know what you think about this. What are you thinking?
Um, I'm actually thinking about another really funny part I just thought about that I really like.
She's doubling down.
Um, in the church when they do but anyway, I won't talk about it, but just remember that. Um, I mean, it's really funny because I think I haven't thought you both have thought very deeply. I think I was so distracted by the F word, the slur, I mean,
Yeah.
that I almost couldn't even begin to critique the most important part because there were all these distractions where I'm just like covering my eyes and ears while I'm laughing. But I think, yeah, I guess the manipulation, like, I guess something that I'm realizing confused me at the time was like, are we I don't want you kind of at the beginning, you want them to be together, right? They're so cute. They're best friends. And
Mhm.
by the way, I married my crush from high school that I was friends with, and we didn't date at the time. So
Yes.
I I think that is I'm
Oh my god,
rooting
he
for
was
them
your
at the beginning.
crush?
Oh, I had a huge crush on him, but he always had a girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
And to be
cute.
very patient. Yeah. But so but y when you're watching the movie, you're like, "No, don't don't take him back," like, you don't
Mhm.
want him to win. He's a terrible person. She kind of, I feel like, is pushing back on him a lot more than a lot of women in rom-coms. She's really, like, calling him out, like, you're not sure, and so the fact that they end up together, or who knows? Do we know that they end up together
Well,
permanently?
they make out kind of at the end, so that's our
Right.
our kind of assumption is that
And I
they're
guess
together.
The question is, I'm glad they didn't, like, get married, because I was just listening to your
Thank
episode
God.
about The Wedding Singer where it's like they get married right away, and it's like, "Please."
Right.
But are they even right for each other? Like, I don't know. I guess that's the question. I don't think so at all. So this
Right.
is terrible. Do
Right.
you think they're right for each
I felt
other?
like they didn't have the chemistry that they wanted us to think they had.
But the actors had good chemistry, and that is why it is a great movie.
Let me tell you about one of my favorite pleasure products retailers out there, Lion's Den. If you haven't heard about Lion's Den before, I cannot wait to tell you about them now. Lion's Den opened its first retail facility in Columbus, Ohio in 1971. That's right, over 50 years ago. Since then, they have grown to more than 50 outlets throughout the US, building their reputation on high-quality products, low prices, and a knowledgeable sales staff who can help you find the perfect toy. One of the many things I love about Lion's Den is that they advocate for a sex-positive perspective on intimacy and sexual well-being, and strive to break the stereotypes and stigma surrounding sex by providing comprehensive educational resources to empower everyone to enjoy life to the fullest. They are simply amazing. Lucky for you, Lion's Den is giving my listeners an exclusive discount of 15% off your purchase in-store and online with code SEXEDWITHDB at lionsden.com. What are you waiting for? Get your amazing Lion's Den toy now. Now is the time of the interview where we're going to do something about all this, and we're going to do a rewrite. So I want to know, how would we tell this story today? For example, what if Chris maybe went to therapy instead of back to his hometown and terrorized everybody? What if Jamie didn't get with either man-child and just kind of lived her damn life as a teacher? What part of this movie, or what character, or what exactly would we rewrite here? Holly, what do you think?
And I think the relationship between the brothers. I don't know why that stands out to me always. I have a younger brother and an older sister, and I'm like, "Is this fucking real? Like, is this what boys do? Is it?" I
Yeah.
don't believe it. I refuse to believe that that is pummeling your sibling is how you show love. So I feel like maybe having the brother be a better person in the film could have been an interesting choice.
Instead of giving a massage to Samantha, Anna Faris's character, and being an absolute freak.
Like, say Ryan Reynolds' character still needs this change and development because he's understanding that he getting what he wants is not what he actually wants. At the end of the day, and like maybe the brother, because he's left home for 10 years, and now it's the brother and the mom, and it's just this wonderful woman raising a young boy, and he's a nice young man treating this over sexualized pop star, and there's a different character development there where Samantha learns with the younger brother that was not modeling behavior of his older brother. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't thought about this at all, but maybe. I'm into that. I like the idea of making the sibling relationship better. Maybe just less homophobia. Like I do think brothers fight and bicker and like wrestle and do all that shit, but just maybe less homophobia. Lauren, what do you think you would rewrite?
I mean, I laughed a lot at the physical violence between the brothers. Um, when they're calling him a doofus because he has his retainer. Like,
Doofus.
it's too good. Like, I wouldn't take that. Don't get that brother out of
Please
there,
don't
Holly.
take that
Do
out.
not take the brother out. I know.
He says,
No,
I'll leave him.
I couldn't change anything except I think the ending.
Mm.
I would feel very satisfied if he just died an unhappy, miserable person.
Wow. So maybe it's like it's a dark comedy at the end where we see him go through, like, talk about prosthetics, make him an old man, and just we see that he's like a lonely a lonely
Yeah.
exec.
Yes.
And it's, like, pathetic. He ends up, like, in a like, I don't know, like, alone.
Wow.
That's what he deserves. And then Amy Smart is now friends with Clark and Darla because why weren't they friends?
Why weren't they friends?
They never acted like they knew each other at all. They should have been. And, Amy Smart wanted to be a mom, so she gets to be a mom and a
Just marries a
teacher.
hot, nice, kind man.
Yeah.
I
I wish
really
Amy
like that.
Smart had a monologue at the end about friendship.
Mm.
Whole movie into focus of this is not how you treat your friends. It's
Yeah,
not
that's the
friendship is
rewrite.
not transactional, and I don't owe you anything. I was a good friend to you, and just because I didn't date you and have sex with you doesn't mean that I don't deeply care about you, and, like, you've wasted my time all these years. Like,
Yes.
that's
That's
how
the
She
rewrite.
does kind of say that at the
yeah,
bar,
she does,
though.
she does, she does.
But I do think the idea, yeah, of maybe at the end, kind of her sticking it to him when he knocks on the door. We see the shot of him being like, "I want to have babies with you, and I
Ugh,
want to marry
gross.
you, and I love you." What if she was like,
So
"No,
bad.
no, and here's why not."
And
Nothing's changed. I
Right?
still see you as a
Zero
friend.
development. Yeah.
and also you're not even you wish you were in the friend zone. You're not
Right.
in the friend zone. That's not how friends treat each other. Holly said that earlier. That's
Right.
what it is.
It's true.
You're
I
not in the
think
friend zone anymore.
I love all these rewrites. I also would just simply, yeah, take out the fat suit. I think, like, we've
Yeah,
talked
sure.
about this, maybe he's just a nerd and maybe he's just, like, really awkward, and I just hate the fact that, like, his obsession with her is, like, paired with the fact that, like, he's obsessed with her because he's a fat weirdo. Like, that's basically what they're alluding to, is, like, he has all these pictures of her on his wall and he's a freak and he's obsessed with her and wants to be with her and can't think of anything else because he's a fat loser. So, like, what if he was just not a freak and didn't have all these pictures, but just was in love with her and just was a kid who was in love with her? Keep the retainer. I'm fine with that. And he's a nerd who, for whatever reason, she was always dating these, like, jocks, and, like, he was maybe like a nerdy art kid or whatever. Like, there are so many ways to do this
Yeah.
without punching down and without making fat people feel like the butt of the joke every single time. And so, yeah, that would be my rewrite. I'm curious, though. Now's the time where we're going to rate the film after the rewatch. So, after everything that we've discussed, what is, Lauren, we'll start with you, your post watch rating on our Vom scale of 1 to 5 Voms?
After this conversation, because I was gonna say after I watched it again, I was like 10.
Yeah.
Can I go higher than 10? Sorry, I know the max is the 5, but
You started with a 10 despite you loving it. And
I'm
then,
still at a 10. I might be worse. That's all I'm saying.
so maybe it's an
Think
11.
I think it's an 11 now. I'm breaking the rules, I'm sorry, but now I'm seeing it as an incel film that I will still watch every
You'll
Christmas.
still watch, and we don't need you to not watch it. We just need you to remember this Rom Com Vom episode as, a little bit of extra thing that you consider when you're watching these films.
I mean, it's gotten us to talk about some really interesting things. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Holly,
as all classics do.
as
Yes.
all classics do.
8, 10 now because I said 4
You said 4.
I said 4, and I was under the guise of being too harsh
Right.
towards a beloved Christmas classic,
Right.
and now I'm thinking that it's a 10, and that, we're in a moment of society where I don't want men to look at this and then be like, "The male loneliness epidemic started here."
Oh my God.
Give them nothing more to cling on to for their own point of view.
Wow,
So,
wow, wow.
let me give it a
This
10.
Oof.
this is fair. I'm gonna surprise you both. I'm gonna give it a 4. I did give it a 5. I'm gonna go a little bit down. I think Lauren had a good point about, like, this movie being so slapstick and so over the top. And I think a lot of the feedback that I've gotten about reviewing rom-coms of this era is kind of like, the audience knows that he's an asshole, right? Like, a lot of us are, like, in on the joke that, like, he's such a douche, and, like, the inexcusable things of the homophobia and the fat phobia and the manipulation, like, all those things are inexcusable. But I do think the over the topness is so clear. And so I'll move over to a 4. I will, yeah, I'll offer that as a peace offering here. And
I love
before
that.
before we leave, I gotta share that little bit of trivia teaser deets for those of you who are still here at the end of the episode. It took 4 hours. So what a waste of fucking time and money to apply Ryan Reynolds' fat makeup for Just Friends. And when he finally stepped outside in full prosthetics for the first time, a fan actually approached him and asked, "Is Ryan Reynolds here? Is he around here?" And he said, "Yes." And then just stood there and didn't introduce himself like a douche, pretending that he wasn't himself. Honestly, fair, I guess, but not ideal for us to be understanding that this took 4 hours to complete. And how many times did they do this? How much money did they
So
waste on this plot
unnecessary.
point?
Yeah.
And for next week's trivia teaser, coming up next week, we are diving into a rom-com where a middle schooler wakes up in her 30-year-old body, lands her dream job, and accidentally seduces a man while still mentally 13. Let's just say not even Thriller could prepare us for this timeline jump. If you, dear listener, have a rom-com that you remember from growing up, please submit it to us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, leaving a comment on Spotify, and telling us what you thought of this episode. Lauren and Holly, thank you so much for joining me. This was such a blast. Thank you so much.
Your check's in the mail.
Our creator, host, and executive producer is me, Danielle Bezalel, aka DB. Our producer is Sadie Leegee. Our communications lead is Catherine Cohen. Our music theme is by Hook Sounds. Thanks so much to our featured guests, partners, and listeners. If you have a rom-com you remember from growing up and want us to cover it on Rom Com Vom, submit it to us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and leaving a comment on Spotify. Want to partner with us? Email us at sexedwithDB@gmail.com. For more sex ed content, follow us on Instagram @sexedwithdbpodcast. See you next time.